Welcome to another video in my Inspired By series that I collaborate with Megan, Khristina, Hannah, Christy, and Beth. So there's 6 of us all together. And I'm just showing you what I did off camera. I drew these lily pads and watercolored them, and I cut them out. Very, very easy. The only trick to them is really this pen, which is called a Food Ball 1.5. It's made by Ranger. I bought it at a scrapbook shop in Colorado 2 years ago called the Simple Pleasure Scrapbook Shop, and I've never seen them ever since then. But it is a pigment ink pen, and it is waterproof and smudge proof, and it draws like a dream. So it's really, really good for drawing things and then watercoloring them in. So that's all I did. I just drew the lily pads, watercolored them, and then cut them out. So for this edition of our series, we are all being inspired by nature, and I decided to be inspired by frogs and lily pads. I had these gorgeous photos that I took at a local nursery that we frequent every year to buy all of our flowers and all of the hanging baskets and things that we want for our house. And the nursery is much like all outside, and they have these big ponds set up, and they have frogs, and they have lily pads. So it's really not just a place to buy plants, but it's a really nice, they have things set up and little places to sit, and it's lovely. It's like a big green park. It's so cool. So all of these 6x6 paper pads I'm using are from We Are Memory Keepers. It's the High Five collection. And the background paper is a paper from Simple Stories. It's from the Reset Girl line. I wanted a nice patterned background, but I didn't have any more 12x12 sheets in this We Are Memory Keepers line, so I searched and searched and searched, and the first paper that I came across that I thought would work for my background was this one, and I think that it worked really, really well. So I went ahead and matted my photos, and these 2 sheets of 6x6 paper are going to work as a base for my photos. I'm going to ink everything, all of my elements on this layout with some vintage photo distress ink. And then I'm going to go ahead and get them glued down to here. I love using 6x6 paper pads in this way, and just kind of cutting them down and placing them staggered on a 12x12 background, and then you have a lovely spot to collage together your photos. And also I have 3 photos here, which isn't something I always do, but for this layout I didn't want to create more than 1 page, and I also felt like these photos would work well together. So this tag is from the die cut pack that also went with that We Are Memory Keepers collection. And I'm going to turn it upside down and kind of tuck it in under my larger photo. That's a 4x4 photo. It's a photo of my son looking at one of the frogs. And I'm going to do my journaling, and just a little bit of quick journaling about where we were and how we go every year and different things like that. And I almost always take amazing pictures while we're there, which is really cool. So these are, I grabbed from my stash some Doodle Bug matte sprinkles. They're called matte sprinkles. They're enamel dots, and I love them. I love them so much. But they just have one problem. They don't stick. So they're really good cost. They're not super expensive. There's a lot in a pack. But yeah, they don't stick. They don't stick at all. They don't stick at all. So they're like chipboard thickers. You love them, but you have to add extra glue. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck all of these lily pads in. And what I'm looking for are just little spots on my layout that has an angle that I think could use a little softening up, a little, just a little bit of an area of color. And I'm going to go ahead and just pick out the areas that I want, and then I'm going to go through these die cuts because I know that there's a couple I really want to use, and I do decide on that large green one. That is going to be my title, The Sweetest Thing Ever. And then I'm going to grab some more here and there. I want to make sure that I add little bits of black around this layout because the background has black. So I want to make sure that I pull the black up from the background too. And it's a dingy black. It's like it's not a stark black, which is fine because none of the black that's in the collection is that same way, that kind of like dingy, not a stark black. So now I've gone ahead and I have glued everything down, and I wanted to cut a label with the date. So I put the label on that brick pattern paper and I'm going to punch it, but the piece of paper was too small, so I caught the paper in my punch. And after fiddling with it and working with it, and oh my goodness, please don't break my label punch, I got it worked out and I got the paper out. I was so worried there for a little bit because it was stuck in there because the paper had been, I guess, slightly too small. So I'm going to back the label with this lovely diagonal black and white stripe that I love. It's super cute. And I'm going to go ahead and just work around on my layout now. And I'm going to tape everything down. So this is where I want everything. This is where my position's going to be. And I just went ahead and glued everything down. And now I'm taking my tiny attacher and adding staples to the tops of those banners. And I added staples to a couple other spots around the layout as well. So I'm just going to add some pop dots here, and I'm going to pop up some of my lily pads to give them some lift. I thought about doing some splatters as a last little touch, but I felt like that would be too much. I really liked how this layout was looking, and I didn't want to add the splatters. I thought they would just kind of compete with the triangle paper in the background. So my last little bit here is I'm going to fidget. I found this flare and I really wanted to use it, and it's going to travel all over the page before ending up exactly where it started. And then I'm adding some more of these green Doodlebug matte sprinkles. I'm going to place them around because I wanted to make sure that all of the greens, because this line, so I have some olive green and I have some later yellowy green, and then there's the bright, more true green. And so I wanted to add more of that true green. I wanted to make sure that all the greens were in and around the collection so it looks cohesive and not like glaring. So that will complete this layout inspired by nature. Be sure to check out all of the other girls' layouts. Their channels are linked below, and have a wonderful day. Bye!